What if the Windows 95 calculator you love was rebuilt from scratch today, and it runs natively on Linux? The Windows 95 calculator is one of the most recognizable pieces of software history. It has been on every Windows machine for decades, and for many of us, it is basically muscle memory. But what if that calculator was not stuck in legacy code? What if someone rebuilt it from scratch today, using modern tools, and made it run natively on Linux? That is exactly what OpenCalc does. It is a fresh reimplementation of the classic Windows 95 calculator, written entirely in Rust, and it preserves the familiar look and feel while fixing a lot of the original limitations. According to the project README on GitHub, the creator wanted to preserve the compact and practical interface design of the original Windows 95 calculator while expanding it with modern improvements. The key insight is that OpenCalc contains no legacy code from Microsoft's original calculator. That means it does not depend on legacy libraries and can run reliably on modern systems. The project supports standard and scientific modes, has improved font rendering, DPI-aware classic button borders, memory operations, a statistics window, and a configurable decimal separator. And yes, it runs on Linux natively with GTK4, not through any compatibility layer. The interface is a faithful recreation of the Windows 95 calculator aesthetic. It has standard mode for everyday calculations and scientific mode for more advanced work. The button borders use DPI-aware rendering so they look crisp at any resolution, and the font aliasing has been improved over the original. There is a statistics window for when you need to analyze data, and you can configure the decimal separator to match your locale. The whole thing is built on GTK4 for the Linux build. What makes this interesting is that, despite the retro look, the engine underneath is completely modern Rust code with no legacy dependencies. One feature the original Windows 95 calculator did not have is calculation history. OpenCalc adds an optional history panel that records every completed calculation so you can go back and review your work. You can show or hide the panel from the View menu whenever you need it, and the entries automatically follow whatever decimal separator you have selected in the settings. You can also clear the history independently from the calculator display, which is a small but genuinely useful detail that the original never offered. This is especially handy when you are doing multi-step calculations and need to reference a previous result without having to retype it. The history panel is one of those features that sounds simple but makes a real difference in daily use. When the main calculator window is focused, you can use the keyboard directly just like the original. Digits are 0 through 9. Basic arithmetic uses plus, minus, asterisk, and slash. Exponentiation uses double asterisk. Enter or equals calculates the result. Backspace deletes the last digit. Delete clears the current entry. Escape clears the entire calculation, and F9 changes the sign. There are also copy and paste shortcuts. Control plus insert copies, and Shift plus insert pastes an expression directly into the calculator. Scientific mode adds single-key function shortcuts as well. The original Windows 95 calculator had an obscure feature where you could paste a complete expression from the clipboard and it would evaluate it. The README explains that the original was not a true expression parser. It was closer to a character-to-button command translator. When you pasted 2 times 3, it treated it like pressing the 2 key, then multiply, then 3, then equals. That works for simple expressions but breaks with negative numbers after an operator. The mathematically correct result of 2 times -3 is -6, but the original would get that wrong. OpenCalc fixes all of these bugs with a proper expression parser. The community reaction on the open source subreddit has been thoughtful. One commenter, Mixidal, pointed out the project needed a FOSS license, and the creator Substantial Swan responded they had just added the MIT license. Another commenter called the README pure madness, and Proxysnit agreed it reads like a build log mixed with a brain dump. The creator explained GitHub keeps replacing their README with an AI-generated one. But the most resonant comment came from OK Explorer 7384, who said this is exactly the kind of tiny open-source project they love. Not everything has to become a platform or SaaS product. OpenCalc is a great example of what happens when someone takes a beloved piece of software and says, "I can do this better." It has the nostalgic Windows 95 interface that millions of people recognize, but under the hood it is a clean, modern Rust application with real expression parsing, calculation history, and native Linux support. It is MIT licensed, so you can study the code, modify it, and run it on your own systems. The project currently has 7 stars on GitHub and is actively maintained. If you are someone who appreciates small, focused open-source projects that solve real problems without turning into a platform, this is one to watch. That is OpenCalc for you. A fresh Rust reimplementation of the Windows 95 calculator with modern features and native Linux support. Check the link in the description to try it out, and let me know in the comments what classic Windows programs you would rebuild today.